and we will start with the big one, Ohio State and Michigan. Do you think that the Wolverines have what it takes offensively to get over the hump on Saturday without Spate and with O'Corn, who did not look good last week?
Yeah, I think it'll be difficult. That offense has sputtered the last 2 weeks, regardless of who was the quarterback. There were reports that Spate practiced today. We'll see, what that pans out, what that turns into. May not know until, warm-ups on Saturday. But even if he does play, he was not great against Iowa. I think Michigan's offense, the running backs are okay. The offensive line is okay. Really, the receivers have been the best part of that. If they don't have a quarterback that can get them the ball, then they're somewhat limited. So I think it is advantage Ohio State, home field advantage and personnel and health advantage.
Do you think that how Ohio State wins, if they win, how they win, will affect whether they can get into the college football playoff if Penn State ends up being the representative in the Big Ten title game?
I don't. I could be wrong. I could be misreading it, but I really think if Ohio State just wins, they're in. You're playing the number 3 team in the rankings, bitter rivalry game. They've put together a very good resume. I know that it would be ticklish to take a team that lost to Penn State, and Penn State may win the division and may win the conference, but I just think the overall record for Ohio State will be enough that they'll actually be in a preferred place because they can get into the championship without having the jeopardy of playing another game in the conference championship game.
Where do you think the committee stands on Wisconsin and Penn State? Do you think that they feel like either one of those teams would be deserving to get into the college football playoff, or do you think they're on the fence?
I think they're both still under consideration for sure. If you listen to Kirby Hocutt, the committee chairman on Tuesday night, he said that there was a cluster of teams 2 through 5, which are the 1-loss teams, and then there's a cluster of teams 7 through 10, which are the 2-loss teams other than Wisconsin. So Wisconsin, clearly seems to have separated itself from the other 2-loss teams, but they're behind several other teams. So they need some things to happen. Obviously, they need to win this week, and then they will need to win the Big Ten championship. Maybe even then they don't get in. I think it will depend somewhat on what is happening in the Pac-12.
Pat Forde joins us from Yahoo Sports here on CBS Sports Radio and CBS Sports Network. There was the news that we got yesterday on Notre Dame having to vacate wins. The Irish says, well, this is actually not an administration thing. This is a rogue teacher/tutor, and he's just trying to help people get by to stay eligible on football. Do you feel like it's a big deal and more than the Irish are making it out to be, or as they say, not that big a deal?
Well, the NCAA has made it a big deal, certainly, by vacating 2 years' worth of victories, and Notre Dame felt strongly enough that was punitive that they're going to appeal that. It's one of those situations where, yes, look, Notre Dame uncovered this itself. Notre Dame penalized the players itself. Notre Dame began a very aggressive investigation itself. But the bottom line is those things did happen. 8 players involved. That's not a small number. So, it's a significant issue. To me, it's a significant stain for a program that likes to bill itself as the best of both worlds, to be able to win at the highest level and to have people achieve academically at the highest level. And right now they're failing on both counts, I would say, if you take this academic scandal seriously, along with the 4-7 football record.
In the Pac-12, Washington gets Wazoo. I think a lot of people have kind of figured, well, Washington's going to represent their side of the Pac-12 in the title game, and we'll see what happens there. But this is not an easy trip to Pullman. What are the odds that the Cougars are able to pull off this win?
Not an easy trip at all. They're favored, but it's a tough place to go, tough place to play. Bitter rivalry there. The two sides really dislike each other, and I think Washington State certainly has that little brother chip on the shoulder here. Washington State has a good team as well. This is not a Mike Leach team that can't stop anybody or can't run the football. They can do all those things. Washington, though, very, very balanced, very sound team, having a great season. And I expect this to be a very close game, probably a bit of a shootout, and I think there's a chance Washington State can win it.
And if Washington State wins it, it ends up in the Pac-12 championship game, then really all hell is going to break loose. If they end up, if Washington's not there, do you think the Pac-12 is left outside of the playoff?
Great question. I'll have to see what things are looking like everywhere else. I would say they'd very much be in jeopardy, especially if you've got two teams to recommend themselves from the Big Ten. That you would have at best, a Colorado at 11-2, or maybe even a USC at 10-3 as your best alternatives. And while those are both good teams, and USC is maybe the hottest team in the country, there's some warts on those resumes, and there might be some better options elsewhere.